Following her funeral in 1997, Diana's body was brought to her ancestral home of Althorp.
Deep beneath the quiet canopy of the Althorp estate, Lady Diana's tomb has long stood as a place of mystery, memory, and unspoken emotion. But an unexpected announcement from the royal family has now stirred widespread disbelief across Britain and beyond. After decades of silence, officials have released new information that challenges long-held assumptions, pointing to inexplicable actions by the French police concerning her final resting place and the decisions made after her tragic passing. The princess who lived under the relentless glare of the public died in a speeding car in Paris, apparently while trying to evade pursuing photographers. And now many are questioning what prompted this sudden disclosure and why it is shaking so many people today. The revelation began quietly, with a simple digital statement released by the Royal Communications team on a dull Tuesday morning. No fanfare, no interviews, nothing to hint at its significance. Most who saw it expected another routine update about a royal engagement, a charity initiative, or estate logistics. Yet tucked inside the plain announcement was a single, subtle line that struck the monarchy like a bolt of lightning. Due to recent developments relating to Princess Diana's resting place, the royal household announced that it was reviewing certain materials that could lead to a formal inquiry, words calm on the surface, yet trembling underneath, signaling that something long buried, emotionally and literally, was being disturbed again. More than 25 years have passed since August 31st, 1997, the day Diana's death stunned the world, reshaping modern history as billions watched her funeral and millions mourned in the streets. And still her story clings to the nation like a wound that never healed. The moment the announcement dropped, people felt themselves pulled backward in time. The grief, the questions, the uneasy sense that something had never quite added up, and the timing only deepened the unease. King Charles is facing a turbulent chapter of his reign. Prince William is carrying heavier responsibilities than ever, and the monarchy itself is under a harsher spotlight. Yet in the midst of all this pressure emerged a soft, careful sentence that sliced through the calm like a blade. Speculation erupted instantly. What new information could be so significant that it compelled the palace to revisit a subject many believed sealed forever? Was it forensic, political, archival, or something more uncomfortable, something brushing close to the darkest theories whispered since the crash in Paris? To some, the decision felt like reopening an old wound. To others, it reignited long-standing suspicions about unanswered questions, gaps in official reports, and the years of silence that followed. One thing became clear. This was no ordinary review, but the beginning of something large, unpredictable, and potentially destabilizing to the modern monarchy. The cryptic line didn't just reopen old wounds, it hinted that something long concealed was finally pressing into the light. If the palace was preparing for a formal inquiry, what had they discovered that demanded immediate action? And why had it driven King Charles to urgently summon his sons to Althorp? The news tore through palace corridors like a storm, shaking seasoned insiders before the public sensed a thing. And those close to the royals say the chain reaction began with the king himself, who abandoned tradition, protocol, and layers of protection, and personally contacted his sons in a tone described as heavier than anything they had heard from him. He didn't ask, he summoned, ordering them to Althorp, their mother's resting place, without delay. Within 3 days both brothers were on the move, and Prince William, steady as ever, arrived first, his convoy slipping through morning fog with military precision, elite security ahead and palace lawyers behind. Every face set with the gravity of what awaited them. William's arrival at Althorp wasn't announced, but the atmosphere shifted the moment his car slipped through the gates. Staff whispered that they had never seen him look so tense, as though he already sensed the weight of what awaited him. Harry's journey from across the Atlantic took longer, and he landed on a private jet hidden from view, surrounded by his security team and accompanied by a private legal advisor. His return marked only by cold air, closed gates, and a silence that felt as if the estate itself were bracing for what was coming. With no press, no cameras, and no official acknowledgement, Althorp stood quiet and isolated, holding memories the brothers had spent years trying to outrun. For nearly 7 hours the two remained inside the estate behind doors that had witnessed decades of pain and unresolved shadows, joined by King Charles III and Earl Spencer, the man who knew Diana better than anyone left alive. Nothing from that meeting leaked, only expressions, because when the doors opened, something had clearly changed. A long-time staff member near the chapel murmured that the princes looked as if they had walked through something dark and unfinished. William's face was drained and empty, while Harry's jaw was clenched so tightly it seemed painful, his knuckles pale as he gripped the SUV door. Neither acknowledged the staff who bowed as they passed. They moved like men carrying a truth too heavy to speak. From that day on, royal circles felt different, quieter, colder, more alert. Something had been found beneath the lake at Althorpe, something that forced two estranged brothers to confront a past they thought they had left behind. And just when it seemed the tension couldn't thicken further, came the announcement that stunned the public. At exactly 4 p.m. Greenwich Mean Time, the air inside Buckingham Palace shifted as the tall golden doors of the media wing opened and Sir Malcolm Withers, the palace's most composed spokesperson, stepped out, though even he carried an uneasy stiffness, as if the words ahead were heavier than protocol could contain. He cleared his throat and announced, "As part of our ongoing review of certain materials recently uncovered at Althorpe Estate, a pause that struck like thunder, we are formally announcing that discussions have begun regarding the potential temporary opening of the tomb of Diana, Princess of Wales." For a full second the room froze before erupting into shocked whispers. After nearly 3 decades of undisturbed silence, the idea of opening Diana's tomb sent a tremor through the monarchy unlike anything seen since that heartbreaking September day in 1997. Diana's resting place, set on a quiet island surrounded by calm waters and tall trees, had long been considered sacred ground, protected from politics, gossip, and palace pressure, making the very idea of disturbing it unthinkable. Yet now the royal family was publicly acknowledging that they were considering doing exactly that. The questions came like a sudden storm. What had been found at Althorpe? Why now after 27 years? And was this about justice, legacy, or something far more tangled? The palace offered no details, letting the silence grow heavier and sharper until rumors began slipping through it, fast, fierce, and impossible to ignore. Some insiders whispered about hidden letters sealed near her resting place, letters that could alter how the world remembers her final years. Others claimed an unfamiliar object had been discovered, something out of place, something that seemed intentionally left behind, like a message meant for anyone brave enough to look. But the most explosive rumor was the one no one wanted to voice: DNA. The idea chilled the air because DNA testing didn't just raise questions, it raised seismic ones about lineage and heritage, ones that could shake the monarchy to its core. And as the broadcast announcing the possible opening of her tomb faded to black, one truth remained. This was no administrative update, but a match struck in dry grass, sending sparks straight into the heart of the royal institution. As the world searched for answers, a chilling thread began weaving its way into every conversation, and soon the Paris connection resurfaced, bringing revelations that had the power to stun. For years, whispers about Princess Diana's death drifted around the edges of public discussion, quiet but persistent. And then suddenly those old embers reignited. The world found itself looking once again toward Paris, not out of nostalgia for 1997, but because something deeply unsettling was unfolding. A timeline once accepted as settled history was being pulled apart piece by piece as researchers, investigative reporters, online sleuths, and sharp-eyed citizens dug through documents, photos, and every official decision made in the hours after the crash. Strangely, every trail led to the same cracks that had always been there, but had long been easy to overlook. The autopsy, for instance, suddenly came under harsher light within the story's unfolding mystery. For someone as internationally significant as Diana, the report was shockingly thin, missing key details, lacking expected tests, and raising new questions instead of resolving old ones. Even more troubling was the quiet but persistent refusal within this fictional account by French authorities to release the full medical records, files that should have been transparent given the global impact of her death, yet instead remaining sealed and inaccessible. The question lingered: what could still be so sensitive after all these years? But the detail that rattled even the most hardened experts in the narrative wasn't in the paperwork, it was in the treatment of her body. Within mere hours of the crash, Diana was embalmed, an extraordinary departure from both legal protocol and royal tradition. Embalming can alter tissue, blur forensic markers, and erase crucial clues that might support or dismiss countless theories, and it is almost never done before a full post-mortem, especially for someone whose life had been monitored with such precision. Yet in this telling, it was performed quickly, quietly, and irreversibly. No official explanation has ever satisfied the fictional coroners and analysts studying this decision. It wasn't standard, it wasn't necessary, and some even argued it wasn't lawful, believing that the rushed procedure may have erased answers the world deserved. Now, with serious discussions emerging in the narrative about the potential reopening of Princess Diana's tomb for verification. The conversation has taken a darker turn. What once existed only in obscure forums and whispered debates has surged into mainstream attention, forcing both characters and onlookers to grapple with uncomfortable questions. When the story places the facts side by side, the rapid embalming, the sealed French files, gaps in documentation, delayed identification, and years of resistance toward deeper inquiry, the impossible begins to resemble a puzzle missing vital pieces. And then comes the question that shakes even the staunchest skeptics within this fictional world. What if it isn't actually Diana inside the tomb? A thought outrageous, unsettling, almost grotesque, yet persistent. In the quiet spaces between these resurfacing doubts, an even darker fear takes shape. If it isn't her, then where is she, or what else was never told? Rumors and theories spread like wildfire, fueling the sense that the palace in this narrative might be hiding something. The royal family's silence becomes heavier than ever, suffocating, each unanswered question growing into a whisper, and every whisper becoming a roar, stretching into something nearly unbearable behind the meticulously maintained lawns and walls. Behind the meticulously manicured lawns and stately facades of Althorpe, an unsettling question lingers in this fictional tale. What truly lies beneath Diana's final resting place? Among the many theories swirling in the shadows of the narrative, one has always carried more weight: the possible recovery of Diana's long-rumored personal diary, an intimate journal said to contain private reflections far beyond the public narrative, including her struggles with the crown, turmoil within her marriage, observations on palace intrigue, and even chilling notes about her safety in her final months. Some insiders in the story whisper that this diary vanished mysteriously after her death, and if it has resurfaced beneath her tomb, its contents could shake the monarchy to its core. But the theories grow darker as the fiction deepens. Some suggest the presence of a second coffin beneath the official one, perhaps holding personal items, letters, jewelry, or gifts from her children. Others imagine it containing decoys, secret records, or evidence so sensitive it could never be revealed. The most disturbing speculation of all proposes that her actual remains were relocated years ago, leaving the tomb as a symbolic monument hiding a deeper truth. Supporters of these theories point to anomalies in the burial process: rapid embalming, minimal documentation, and opaque handling of the remains, and some claim a second coffin may have been added later in a covert operation no one was meant to uncover. It reads like fiction, and within the shadows of Althorpe in this narrative world, fiction and reality blur even further. The most alarming pieces of evidence come not from whispers, but from science within the story. Satellite imagery and ground-penetrating radar reportedly indicate anomalies beneath the memorial, hinting at a sealed vault installed after 1997, suggesting someone may have returned long after official ceremonies ended. The questions multiply: who added the vault, and why, and what secrets would demand such concealment? Yet through it all, the monarchy in this fictional universe remains a fortress of silence, offering no statements, confirmations, or denials, leaving the public imagination free to craft fears, suspicions, and fascinations that range from plausible to utterly unimaginable. Every unanswered question, every hidden corner, and every mysterious act of concealment adds fuel to the fire, leaving the world captivated, uneasy, and unable to stop wondering what truths are being protected and what truths are being buried. The stories, speculation, and subtle hints all point toward one chilling possibility. Beneath the serene exterior of the Althorpe estate lies far more than a carefully tended memorial. Beneath the surface, layered in history, secrecy, and perhaps deception, may rest a truth far darker than anyone imagined, one that challenges everything the public has been told about Diana's final hours, her legacy, and the monarchy's meticulous curation of her memory. This leads directly into the controversies surrounding Princess Diana's burial, where the palace has long faced accusations of secrecy and imbalance. The narrative dives deeper as experts revisit a funeral clouded by controversy. The morning after the world learned of Princess Diana's death, time itself seemed to freeze. Across continents, candlelit vigils glimmered like fallen stars, their soft flames reflecting profound grief and reverence. People wept openly on live television. Children clutched newspaper clippings as if holding onto a piece of her presence, and news anchors struggled to maintain composure, their voices trembling under the weight of a tragedy that felt impossible to comprehend. It was not merely the loss of a princess, it was the loss of a symbol, a woman whose kindness, charm, and quiet rebellion against the rigid structures of royalty made her humanity palpable to millions. Yet while the world mourned, the events that followed her death began to stir questions and whispers that continue even today. Tradition dictates that British royals are interred with grand ceremony in storied places like Westminster Abbey or St. George's Chapel, resting among vaults shaped by centuries of ritual and pageantry. But Diana, once married to the future king and mother of Britain's next heir, received no such ritual. Instead, she was laid to rest alone on a small tree-draped island in the middle of the oval lake at Althorpe. The Spencer family estate tranquil, picturesque, and yet, in this narrative, the source of mysteries that refused to stay buried. To some, however, the isolation of Diana's resting place felt less like honor and more like exile. The public was barred from approaching the island. No tours, no guided visits, no access beyond the water's edge, leaving the princess, celebrated for her openness and warmth, seemingly intentionally out of reach. At the time, Charles Spencer, Diana's younger brother, spoke openly about the choice. "She deserves peace, not spectacle," he said during his televised eulogy, his voice wavering, "somewhere she can finally be safe." Yet private tensions told a more complicated story. Recently declassified letters from 1997, obtained through a Freedom of Information request, reveal friction between palace aides and the Spencer family, with the royal household reportedly favouring a more traditional public burial, perhaps not Westminster Abbey, but somewhere visible and recognised, befitting her status, while the Spencers resisted, citing Diana's troubled relationship with the institution and perhaps her own wishes. A diary entry, allegedly obtained from a close friend, added an even more haunting dimension. Months before her death, Diana supposedly wrote, "If something happens to me, I don't want to be left in that place. I belong somewhere the people can find me." That place, it seems, was Althorpe, but not without extraordinary measures. Motion-activated cameras, armed guards, and even underwater security patrolled the lake, blocking any unauthorized approach. Why such extreme secrecy for a woman who had walked among crowds, held hands without gloves, and comforted the sick and needy in defiance of royal protocol? The official explanation, privacy, dignity, and preventing a media circus, has never fully satisfied observers. Even more troubling are inconsistencies surrounding the handling of Diana's remains. A confidential French report, quietly re-evaluated in 2017, but never publicly released, documented irregularities in the timeline between the crash and her repatriation to Britain. Her body was transported with extraordinary speed, standard autopsy procedures were shortened or skipped, toxicology samples were limited, and no independent forensic review occurred before her coffin was sealed under lead. A process that makes exhumation nearly impossible without damaging the remains. Why the rush? Some argue it was a matter of control, a tense balancing act between the monarchy, the media, and the Spencers' desire to shield Diana. Others suggest darker motives, secrets she may have held, plans she might have pursued, knowledge that threatened powerful interests. Diana was no longer simply a royal. She had become a force of her own, beloved by the public, yet increasingly seen as unpredictable, perhaps even dangerous by the establishment. Humanitarian work outside royal oversight, her closeness with Dodi Al-Fayed, and rumors of plans to move to the United States and redefine her life had threatened the monarchy's ability to control Diana's narrative, raising the question, was Althorpe truly a place of peace, or a calculated distance designed to separate her from the legacy she was creating? The island holds her remains, yes, but it also holds secrets, and in those silent waters, that may have been precisely the point to keep the truth just out of reach, where only whispers dwell and questions linger indefinitely. Now, the Spencer family finds itself in a tense dilemma, with one voice remaining almost defiantly silent: Charles Spencer. As Diana's younger brother and legal custodian of Althorpe Estate, his authority over the island at the center of the estate's ornamental lake is absolute, and no disturbance, let alone a potential opening of Diana's tomb, can proceed without his explicit consent. Yet publicly, he has said nothing, no statements, no interviews, not even a hint to the press. Behind closed doors, however, a storm rages. Sources close to the family describe Charles grappling with a decision that transcends law or tradition, striking at the very promise he made to his sister in death. A longtime family confidant likened his struggle to a moral crossroad of historic significance. On one side lies the growing call for transparency. Royal historians, legal experts, and segments of the public insist on clarity regarding Diana's death, her autopsy, and the condition of her final resting place. On the other side stands the sanctity of silence, a sacred, unbroken space that Charles vowed would remain untouched, a place Diana herself once confided was her only true home. The weight of the decision is personal. This is not about public curiosity or protocol. For Charles, it is about his sister, about the failure of the world to protect her while she lived. Hounded by paparazzi, betrayed by those closest to her, and stifled by an institution that never fully embraced her, Diana's life was one of conflict and compassion in equal measure, and her tomb, Charles believes, is the only place that truly belonged to her, a symbol of peace and safety. To open it now, he confided to a friend, would be to let the wolves back in. Inside the palace, tensions simmer differently. Prince William reportedly favors a controlled investigation, privately arguing for accountability and insisting that truth, whatever it may reveal, must endure beyond rumor and speculation, reminding advisors that she belonged to the people as much as to them. Harry, however, is torn. Even across the Atlantic, removed from daily royal life, he fears that disturbing the tomb could desecrate rather than honor their mother's memory. "We lost her once already," he reportedly confided. "I don't know if I could survive losing her again." And then there is King Charles, the man whose life was irrevocably altered by Diana's presence, influence, and absence, who for the first time in years has offered no guidance, no cryptic remark, no subtle acknowledgement in public appearances. To some, his silence is diplomatic, to others it is cowardice. Meanwhile, the tomb itself remains untouched, its ancient stones glistening in the early morning dew, serene yet heavy with history. Insiders reveal that the Royal Advisory Panel has set a 30-day window for an investigative committee to deliver its final recommendation. Within that time frame, every option from non-invasive ground scans to a full exhumation remains on the table. Outside Althorpe, a quiet pilgrimage has taken shape. Mourners arrive by the dozen, some from nearby villages, others from continents away, gathering along the lake's perimeter, some even in small boats, their eyes fixed on the island that has held Diana for nearly 30 years. Candles flicker in the early light, reflecting on the still water, signs held high let her rest. Truth matters. Diana forever. A few stand in absolute silence, gazes locked on the island that holds not only a body but the collective grief of a nation, a mother's love, and a mystery too deep to fade. "We never stopped loving her," one woman whispers through tears, "and we never stopped searching for the truth." Across the globe, media outlets brace for impact. From royal correspondents to social media investigators, everyone waits for the headline that could rewrite history. But one truth remains. Once that tomb opens, once the air inside meets the world outside, nothing will ever be the same.